A week after the funeral, the night guard woke me at 3 in the morning. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm so sorry, but this is serious. I think your son." His voice was trembling. "You need to come down here, fast. I can't say this over the phone." When I got to the back warehouse, a chill ran down my spine, because what I found there, the phone rang in the darkness. 3 in the morning, that hour when nothing good ever happens. I was still sleeping on the left side of the bed. The right side was still empty. It had been 7 days since that space held the warm body of Arthur. 7 days since we buried him in the quiet cemetery in Newton, under that willow tree he loved so much. Mark's voice sounded different. He was the night watchman at the textile warehouse, the same one Arthur had hired 15 years ago. I had never heard him sound like that, nervous, almost scared. "Mrs. Eleanor, I'm so sorry to wake you at this hour." "What is it, Mark? Was there a break-in?" "It's worse than that, ma'am. I need you to come down here. Now. Please. I can't tell you this over the phone." My heart sped up. I got dressed however I could. A sweater over my nightgown. Shoes with no socks. My hands were shaking as I looked for the car keys. The house was silent. Mason and Chloe were sleeping in the guest room, or at least I thought they were. The drive to the warehouse felt endless. The streets of our Boston suburb were deserted, just a few stray dogs and a drunk leaning against a lamppost. The November cold cut right through to my bones. When I arrived, Mark was waiting for me at the back door. His face was pale under the yellowish light of the street lamp. "Ma'am, what I'm about to show you. You have to see it with your own eyes." He led me down the hallway to the main warehouse. That place smelled like my entire life. Imported fabrics, cedar from the antique shelves. The years of effort Arthur and I had invested there. 40 years building that business from scratch. But that morning, something was terribly wrong. The shelves were half empty. "Where is the merchandise?" I whispered, feeling the floor move beneath my feet. Mark turned on the monitor in the small office. He showed me the security videos from the last 2 weeks. And there he was, my son, Mason, entering at 11 at night with 3 men I didn't recognize, carrying complete rolls of Italian silk, the French lace Arthur had personally brought back from his trip to Europe, the hand-embroidered fabrics that were worth more than $8,500 a roll. "He's been doing this for 14 days, ma'am, 3 times a week, always when you're asleep." The image was clear. My son coordinating, directing, selling his father's legacy as if it were trash. Mark pulled out a folder. Fake invoices, doctored receipts, contacts with shady liquidators downtown. "He's already sold merchandise for $45,000, Mrs. Eleanor. And there's more." He showed me documents he found on Mason's desk. Scheduled appointments with 3 different real estate agencies. Appraisals of the entire building. Blueprints marked with divisions for sale by lot. But the worst part was on the last page. A power of attorney. In my name. With my signature. A signature I had never made. "He tried to forge your signature, ma'am, to get legal control of everything." My legs gave out. I sat in the old chair where Arthur used to check inventories. The one he had upholstered himself with scraps of green velvet. My son. My only son. The child I carried for 9 months. The one I nursed. The one Arthur and I worked 12-hour days for, to give him a better life than ours. That same son was dismantling, piece by piece, everything his father had built. And it had only been 7 days since the funeral. 7 days since I saw him cry next to the casket. 7 days since he swore at Arthur's grave that he would take care of me. "There's something else, ma'am." Mark took out his phone. He showed me screenshots of WhatsApp conversations. I didn't ask how he got them. He just put them in front of me. They were messages between Mason and Chloe. "Almost there, baby. In 2 more weeks, we'll have everything liquidated. And your mom? Leave her to me. I've already got the psychologist lined up. We'll declare her senile, and that's it. With guardianship in our hands, we sell everything and we're off to Miami like we planned." What if she finds out? She won't find out. She's old and depressed. She doesn't even read the papers I put in front of her to sign. Every word was a stab. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. The smell of the strong, dark roast coffee Arthur used to brew every morning in that office. still lingered, like a ghost. "What do you want me to do, ma'am?" Mark asked, his voice cracking. "I can call the police right now." I looked at him. This loyal man who had cared for our business during 3 shifts when we were starting out, who had genuinely cried at Arthur's funeral, who was showing me this betrayal even though it hurt him. "No, Mark. Not yet." "Ma'am?" I stood up. Something inside me had broken, yes, but something had also ignited. A spark of rage, of indignation, of a strength I didn't know I still had. "I need you to make me a copy of all these videos, of all the documents, of every message. Are you going to confront him?" I smiled. It was a bitter smile, but a smile nonetheless. "I'm going to do something better. I'm going to let him keep believing I'm a foolish old woman who doesn't notice anything." Because as I drove back home, as the sun began to break the horizon with orange tones over the city skyline, I understood something Arthur always used to tell me. Ellie, the one who thinks they're so smart, usually ends up being the biggest fool. And my son was about to learn that lesson, the hard way. If this story is touching your heart, subscribe to the channel to continue following me in this tale. Because what's coming next, nobody saw coming. Let me take you back 1 week, to the day my world split in 2. Arthur died on a Tuesday, at 6 in the morning, in our bed, holding my hand. His heart just got tired of beating. 72 years of life, 45 by my side. The wake was at a funeral home in Beacon Hill, the one with the stained glass windows that smells of white flowers and contained sadness. More than 200 people came. Old clients, suppliers, neighbors from the block, warehouse workers. Everyone except my son arrived with their hearts in their hands. I was sitting in the front row, wearing the black dress Arthur gave me for our 40th anniversary. My hands clasped in my lap. My eyes were dry because I had no tears left. Mason arrived late, 2 hours late, with Chloe clinging to his arm as if she were a Persian rug he needed to show off. She was wearing a tight black dress, red heels red, to a funeral and dark glasses she never took off. Her platinum blonde hair was pulled back in a perfect bun, impeccable nails, flawless makeup. She didn't shed a single tear, but I did notice something else. While people came up to give me their condolences, while old Ruth hugged me, crying because Arthur had given her fabric on credit for years when she couldn't pay, while Robert squeezed my shoulder without words because we had been partners for 20 years, Chloe was walking around the room, taking out her phone, taking pictures. At first I thought she was documenting the funeral. Something normal, I supposed. Young people photograph everything now. But no, she wasn't photographing the people. She was photographing the colonial paintings hanging on the walls of our house because we held the viewing right there, as was his wish. The antique mahogany-framed mirror Arthur inherited from his grandmother, the china in the display cabinet, the silver locket with photos of my parents. Zoom, click, zoom, click, click, as if she were taking inventory. I saw her crouch down next to the small table where I had put the jewelry I'd taken off to be more comfortable. My gold rosary, the pearl earrings, the engagement ring Arthur designed especially for me. Her fingers brushed the ring. "Chloe, do you need something?" I asked from my chair. She jumped like a startled cat. "Oh, Mom, no. I was just admiring how beautiful it is. Arthur had such good taste." Mom. That word she used like a knife wrapped in honey. Mason didn't even come near me for the first hour. He was in the corner, glued to his phone, typing furiously. When he finally came over, he gave me a quick, mechanical hug. "I'm sorry, Mom. The traffic was terrible. He smelled like beer. At 11 in the morning, at his father's funeral, my son smelled like beer. Are you okay, honey?" I whispered. Yeah. It's a lot, you know. I needed something to calm my nerves. A lie. Arthur had been sick for 6 months. 6 months of chemotherapy, of doctors, of nights in the hospital. Mason came to visit him 3 times. 3 times in 6 months. And each visit lasted less than 20 minutes. He always had something urgent to attend to. During the service, when Father Michael began to pray, I noticed Mason and Chloe exchanging glances. She showed him something on her phone. He nodded. They smiled. smiled. At the funeral, Ruth, who was sitting next to me, saw it too. "Eleanor, honey," she whispered in my ear. "I don't want to overstep, but those two, something doesn't feel right. They're just nervous, Ruth. It's their way of dealing with the pain." How naive I was, how blind. After the burial, when we returned home, Chloe offered to help me organize. "Mom, you rest. I'll take care of cleaning everything up." And she did. She gathered the flowers, the plates, the coffee cups. She also picked up the jewelry box that was on my dresser. She opened it, checked piece by piece, took photos of each one. I saw her from the reflection in the hallway mirror. "Are you looking for something, Chloe?" "No, Mom. I just wanted to put everything in a safe place. With so many people coming in and out, you never know." She closed the jewelry box. She handed it to me with a perfect smile, but I had counted the pieces that morning. Something was missing. A small pin, white gold with 3 diamonds. Nothing ostentatious, but it had enormous sentimental value. Arthur gave it to me when Mason was born. I didn't say anything. Not yet. That night, when everyone had left, when the house fell into a sepulchral silence, Mason knocked on my bedroom door. "Mom, I need to talk to you." He came in. He sat on the edge of the bed. Not on Arthur's side, but on mine, invading my space. "Look, I know this is hard. It's hard for me too. Liar. But we have to be practical. Dad's gone. And you can't stay alone in this huge house. Not at your age. 67 years old. That was my age. Not 90. Chloe and I were talking. We think it's best if you come live with us. Or better yet, we'll move in here with you, temporarily of course, to take care of you. I don't need to be taken care of, Mason. Mom, please, don't be stubborn. Besides, someone has to take charge of the business now that Dad isn't here." There it was. The business. "I'll take charge of the business, just like I always have." Mason let out a short, dry laugh. "Mom, with all due respect, you don't know anything about modern finance. The business needs an update, digitization. I studied business, remember?" He studied for 2 years. He never graduated, but he had a diploma from the most expensive private college in the city. Paid for, of course, with our sweat. "Give me a few days, honey. Let me process all of this." "Sure, Mom, sure." He stood up. He gave me a kiss on the forehead. Cold. Calculated. Like kissing a statue. Before leaving, he turned around. "Oh, by the way, Dad left everything in order for you, right? The will, the business papers, the deeds?" "Yes, Mason. Everything is in order." "Perfect. Because I need you to give me access to the bank accounts. To start reviewing the funeral expenses, that sort of thing. We'll see about it later." His jaw tensed. Just for a second. But I saw it. "Whatever you say, Mom. Get some rest." He closed the door. I stayed there, sitting on that bed that smelled of sickness and farewell. I hugged Arthur's pillow. It still held the shape of his head. And I cried. I cried because I had lost the love of my life. But most of all, I cried because deep down, in that dark place I didn't want to accept, I knew my son hadn't come to say goodbye to his father. He had come to claim his inheritance, and I, like a fool, still wanted to believe I was wrong. But the worst hadn't happened yet. I need you to understand something. To comprehend what came next, you need to know who we were, Arthur and I, what we built, and why it hurt so much to watch it crumble. I met Arthur in 1976. I was 19 years old. He was 26. It was at the Haymarket on a Saturday morning. I was with my mother, buying fabric to make a dress for my younger sister. Arthur had a tiny stall, barely 10 by 10 feet, filled with scraps and rolls piled to the ceiling. It wasn't love at first sight. It was something better. It was recognition. He looked me in the eyes when he helped me. Not at my chest, not at my legs. In the eyes. He asked me what I was looking for. He actually listened. And he showed me 5 different options, explaining the advantages of each fabric. This one is cooler for the heat. This other one drapes better. This one here is more durable in the wash. He knew what he was talking about. Not like those salesmen who throw anything at you just to make a sale. Arthur loved fabrics. He knew every fiber, every weave, every origin. He spoke about them as if they were living things. I went back the next Saturday, and the next, and the next. Until one day, after buying half a yard of linen I didn't even need, he got up the nerve. "Would you like to get a coffee with me when I close the stall?" We got married 8 months later. The wedding was simple. At the neighborhood church, with 20 guests, donuts, and hot chocolate. We didn't have money for more. But we had something better. We had a dream. Arthur wanted to stop being a stall vendor. He wanted his own shop. He wanted to import quality fabrics, not just sell whatever came from the domestic mills. And I wanted to build something with my own hands. The first few years were a war. We lived in a tiny attic room we rented for $80 a month. We shared a bathroom with 3 other families. We cooked on a hot plate. We bathed with cold water because we couldn't afford the heater. But we worked. God, how we worked. Arthur left at 5 in the morning for the market. I stayed behind, cutting, measuring, packing orders until 11 at night. On weekends, we went together to knock on doors of workshops, seamstresses, small designers. We saved every penny, every single penny. We didn't go to the movies. We didn't buy sodas. Our clothes were second-hand. I made our bread myself because it was cheaper. In 1976, after 3 years, we scraped together enough to rent a small storefront in Somerville, 200 square feet, peeling walls, a single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. But it was ours. We called it Hayes Textiles. Arthur insisted it have my maiden name too, not just his, because he said that without me, without my hands, without my head for numbers, none of it would exist. We're a team, Ellie, 50-50, and it was always like that. Mason was born in 1983, a beautiful boy with big eyes and an easy laugh. We adored him. He was our prince, our engine to keep going. Maybe that was our mistake, giving him everything we never had. Arthur didn't want Mason to grow up lacking anything, so we bought him the best shoes, even if we kept wearing our old ones. We gave him money for school, even if we had to skip meals. Let him study, Ellie, so he doesn't have to work like a dog like us. And he studied. Private school, expensive college, language courses, his own computer when they were just becoming popular, but we never taught him the value of effort. We never made him work in the business. Let him have fun, Ellie. He'll have time to suffer when he's an adult. How wrong we were. By 1995, we already had 3 locations. One in downtown Boston, another in Cambridge, and one on Newbury Street. We imported fabrics from Italy, France, Japan. We had contracts with well-known designers, with fashion houses, with film studios. Hayes Textiles was a respected name. We bought the house in 2001. A 2-story house in Newton with a garden and a fountain. 3 bedrooms, a study, a terrace. It cost $320,000. We paid it off in 5 years. No loans, no debt, all cash. With the sweat of 40-hour weeks turned into 60, into 70. Mason was 18 years old when we moved in. He was already in college, studying business administration. Arthur was so proud. He's going to modernize the business, Ellie. He's going to take it to the next level. But Mason never showed real interest. He'd come to the warehouse once a month, out of obligation. He'd stay for an hour, check his phone every 5 minutes, and leave with any excuse. "I have an exam, Dad. I'm meeting friends for a project. I have a headache." Arthur always justified him. Let him be, Ellie. He's young. He'll mature. But he didn't mature. He graduated at 24. He never worked a single day in his field. He got a job at an advertising agency that went bankrupt in 6 months, then at a startup that never took off, then as a manager at a gym, from which he was fired for being late. He always had excuses. He always needed a small loan to get out of a jam. $1,000 here, $2,500 there, $5,000 for a sure-thing investment that never paid off. Arthur gave him the money, always. He's our son, Ellie. We can't let him be on the street. I started setting limits, saying no, demanding he work in the business if he wanted money. Mason stopped speaking to me for months. He called me controlling, said I wouldn't let him be free. Arthur got in the middle trying to mediate, until he met Chloe. That was 5 years ago. She worked organizing corporate events, or so she said. We never saw any real evidence of her work, but she always wore expensive clothes, designer bags, perfect nails. Mason was infatuated. "She's the woman of my life, Mom. I'm going to make her happy." They got married 3 months after they met. An ostentatious wedding they couldn't afford. Arthur and I put in $18,000. Chloe made the demands. A hall in the Back Bay, dinner with lobster, premium open bar, honeymoon in Miami. I tried to talk to Mason. "Honey, this is a lot of money. Wouldn't you prefer something more intimate and save for your future?" Chloe overheard me. "Oh, Mom, you're from a different generation. Weddings are a social investment now. Networking, you know?" Networking. At a wedding. I should have seen it then. I should have seen how she looked at me, as if I were an obstacle, an old-fashioned woman who didn't understand the modern world. Arthur, my noble, good Arthur, wanted to believe the best in everyone. "Give her time, Ellie. She's just nervous about the wedding. You'll see, she'll calm down." But she didn't calm down. She got worse. And now, sitting in that warehouse at 3 in the morning, watching the videos of my son stealing his father's legacy, I understood something terrible. Mason never wanted the business. He never wanted to honor our memory. He just wanted the money. And Chloe only wanted Mason for what she could get out of him. 2 parasites disguised as family. And the worst part of all was that Arthur died without knowing the truth. 2 days after the funeral, Mason knocked on my door with 3 suitcases. "Mom, we already talked about this. Chloe and I are staying with you for a while. We hadn't talked about anything." He had imposed. I, in my grief, in my exhaustion, in that thick fog that envelops you when you lose your life partner, simply didn't have the strength to fight. "It's temporary, right?" I asked, watching Chloe enter behind him with 2 more suitcases and 4 boxes. "Of course, Mom. Just until you feel better. You can't be alone in this big house." The house had 3 bedrooms. They took the one that had been Mason's as a child, the one Arthur had turned into a study after he left. The mahogany desk, where Arthur designed his fabric catalogs, the swivel chair he loved so much, the bookshelves filled with samples from all over the world, all shoved into a corner, covered with a sheet, as if it were trash. "We needed space for our things, Mom," Chloe said with that smile that never reached her eyes. "I hope you don't mind." I did mind, but I said nothing. Not yet. The first change was subtle. Chloe reorganized the kitchen. "It's just, Mom, forgive me for saying so, but you have everything so disorganized. Look, the plates go better here, the pots over there. It's more functional, see? I had organized that kitchen for 20 years. I knew exactly where everything was. I could cook with my eyes closed. Now I couldn't even find the spoons." "Oh, Mom, you're getting forgetful. The spoons have always been in that drawer." A lie. They had never been there. But she said it with such confidence that she made me doubt myself. Then came the friends. Chloe invited them over on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon. 5 or 6 loud women who took over the living room. They shouted, they laughed, they smoked in the garden even though I asked them not to. "It's my house too while I live here, Mom. I have the right to invite my friends." That word, right. As if living under my roof gave her automatic rights over my space, my peace, my life. One afternoon I went down for a glass of water. It was 4 o'clock. I heard them talking in the living room. "So when are you guys getting out of here?" one of them asked. The one with black hair and a tattoo on her shoulder. "As soon as we can," Chloe replied. "This house is nice, but it's so old. It smells like an old person, you know. It needs a complete renovation." Laughter. And what does the mother-in-law say? The mother-in-law is in La La Land. Poor thing, she's really old. The other day I asked her to sign some papers for the grocery delivery, and she didn't even read them, just signed. She's going senile, I think. More laughter. I stood frozen in the hallway, the empty glass in my hand. Papers for the grocery delivery? I never signed anything. I went back to my room, closed the door. I sat on the bed, breathing slowly, trying to control the rage rising in my throat like bile. That night, Mason came into the kitchen while I was making chicken soup, the kind Arthur liked, with finely chopped vegetables and a touch of dill. "Mom, we need to talk about the business." What about the business? Well, it needs management. I checked the accounting books and they're outdated. You do everything by hand. We need to digitize, modernize. I put the spoon down on the counter. Mason, I've been keeping those books for 30 years. There has never been a mistake. But Mom, that's not how things are done now. We need a system, a digital platform, social media. I can take care of that. You? When have you ever worked in the business? His face hardened. I studied business, Mom. I know what I'm talking about. You studied, you didn't graduate. That's a low blow. It's the truth. He stood up from the chair abruptly. The wood scraped against the floor with a horrible sound. You know what, Mom? It's always been this way. You never trust me. You never think I can do anything right. Dad was right when he said you were too controlling. That lie. Arthur never said that. Ever. Your father and I were equal partners, Mason. He respected my work. Sure, whatever you say. He stormed out of the kitchen, slamming the door. The soup burned. I didn't even taste it. The next day, I found Chloe in my bedroom. She was in front of my dresser, opening the wooden jewelry box Arthur gave me for our 30th anniversary. What are you doing? She startled. She closed the box quickly. Oh, Mom, you scared me. I was just passing by and saw the door open. I was admiring your jewelry. It's beautiful. A little old-fashioned, but beautiful. The door wasn't open. I had locked it. How did you get in? Oh, the door was open, I'm telling you. Lying, brazenly. Chloe, this is my private bedroom. I need you to respect my space. She let out a little laugh, as if I had said something funny. Oh, Mom, don't get paranoid. I was just looking. I'm not going to steal anything. She passed by me, brushing my shoulder. Too hard. Intentionally. You should lock it if you're so distrustful, she said before leaving. I checked the jewelry box. The emerald earrings Arthur gave me when Mason was born were missing. They were worth $4,500. I went downstairs to confront her. She was in the living room, painting her nails blood red. Chloe, my emerald earrings. Did you see them? What earrings? The ones that were in my jewelry box? Oh, Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't touch anything. You were going through the jewelry box 10 minutes ago. I was just looking. I already told you. Besides, are you sure you had them in there? Maybe you put them somewhere else and just don't remember. Mason appeared from the kitchen. What's going on? Your mom says she's missing some earrings. She's accusing me of stealing them. I didn't say that, I clarified, feeling my voice tremble. But you're implying it, Chloe said, playing the victim. Mason, tell your mother I'm not a thief. Mason looked at me, his mother, as if I were the problem. Mom, you're being paranoid. Chloe wouldn't steal from you. You probably put the earrings somewhere else and don't remember. Mason, I know perfectly well where. That's enough, Mom, he exploded. Ever since Dad died, you've been unbearable. Everything bothers you. Everything seems wrong to you. We're here to help you, and you just make our lives impossible. I felt as if I'd been slapped. I didn't ask you to come. Of course you did. You're alone, you're vulnerable, you're sad. You need company. What I need is peace. Chloe let out a dry laugh. Peace? Mom, you don't even know what you need. That's why we're here. To take care of you. To take care of me. As if I were an invalid. As if I were a senile old woman, incapable of fending for myself. I couldn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the laughter coming from the next room. Mason and Chloe celebrating something. Drinking. Low music. I got up at 2 a.m. I went to the kitchen for water. I found the trash can open. And there, among orange peels and bread bags, was the family photo album. The one Arthur and I had put together over 40 years. Our wedding, Mason's birth, his first steps, Christmases, birthdays, trips, our entire life together. In the trash, I pulled the album out. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. Some photos were wrinkled, others torn. On the first page, in Chloe's handwriting, was a sticky note. This is useless. Takes up too much space. I clutched the album to my chest, and there, in the darkness of my own kitchen, in the house Arthur and I bought with decades of sweat, I cried silently. So they wouldn't hear me. So they wouldn't call me dramatic. So they wouldn't tell me, once again, that I was overreacting. But something inside me, that night, stopped hurting and started to burn. Now you understand why that call from Mark at 3 in the morning didn't surprise me as much as it should have. I already knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how deep the betrayal went. Standing in that warehouse, looking at the empty shelves, the security videos, the forged documents, it all made sense. Mason's late-night trips to the gym, the whispered phone calls he'd cut short when I entered the room, Chloe's insistence that I sign unimportant papers. It was all part of the plan. "Ma'am, there's more," Mark said, pulling me from my thoughts. He showed me a manila folder hidden behind the file cabinet. Inside were invoices. Lots of invoices. Sales made in the last 2 weeks. 12 rolls of Italian silk at $750 each, sold for $300. A loss of $5,400. 25 yards of vintage French lace at $1,200 a yard, sold for $450. A loss of $187,500. 8 rolls of hand-embroidered Egyptian linen. Unique pieces Arthur brought back from Cairo 10 years ago. Sold for $3,500 when they were worth $18,000. The list went on. And on. And on. "How much in total?" I asked, though I didn't want the answer. Mark checked his notes. $45,300 in merchandise sold below cost. And that's just what I managed to document. It could be more. The room spun. I grabbed Arthur's desk so I wouldn't fall. That desk where he spent hours calculating fair prices, correct margins, where he caressed the fabrics as if they were treasures. Because they were. Every piece in that warehouse had a story. A journey. A trusted supplier. Years of relationships built. And Mason was giving it away like flea market trash. Here's the worst part, ma'am. Mark spread 3 documents on the desk. Appraisals from real estate agencies. The entire building. Warehouse, offices, the ground floor retail space. Appraised at $850,000. All 3 appraisals were from the past week. One had a handwritten note from Mason. "Need quick sale. Will accept $720,000 cash." He was willing to undersell the building for over $100,000 less than its value. Why the rush? "There's more, ma'am." Forgive me, but I checked his desk. I found this. He handed me a crumpled envelope hidden in the back drawer. Inside were 3 credit cards in the name of Chloe Hayes. The attached statements showed debts for $68,400, purchases at department stores, expensive restaurants, trips, designer bags, shoes, spas, salons, a life of luxury paid for with money they didn't have. I kept looking. I found receipts from an online sports betting platform in Mason Contreras's name. Accumulated losses, $31,800 in 6 months. My son was a gambling addict, my daughter-in-law, a compulsive spender, and together they had accumulated over $100,000 in debt. That's why they needed the money. It wasn't pure greed. It was desperation. "Ma'am," Mark's voice pulled me from the shock. "I also found this." He showed me his phone, screenshots from a WhatsApp group called Project MB, Miami Beach. The messages were between Mason and Chloe. I read in silence, feeling each word like a dagger. "Chloe, I just sold another $80,000 in fabric. We're doing good. Mason, and your mom still doesn't suspect anything?" "Not at all. She's been out of it since my dad died. Doesn't even check the warehouse." "Perfect. Did you contact the notary?" "Yeah. He's charging $45,000 to forge the power of attorney papers. Says it'll be ready in 2 weeks. Worth every penny. Once we have legal control, we sell everything and get out of here." "You sure you want Miami?" "I'd prefer Hawaii. I don't care, baby. The important thing is to get out of this horrible city and away from your dramatic mother." "Ha ha ha, I know. She's always been like that. Controlling and bitter. Do you think she'll put up a fight when we tell her we're putting her in the home?" "Leave her to me. I already have the psychologist lined up. He's going to evaluate her. He'll say she's senile and boom. Legal guardianship for us. You're a genius, my love. I know. My dad was always too soft on her. That's why we never grew as a company. It doesn't matter anymore. In 2 months, we'll be on the beach with $1 million in the bank, and my mom in a nice home. We're not bad people after all. Of course not, baby. We're just being practical. The phone slipped from my hands. Mark caught it before it hit the floor. How did you get this? I whispered. My buddy's son works at the gym where Mr. Mason goes. He saw him leave his phone unlocked in the locker room once. Took pictures fast. He sent them to me because he knew something weird was going on. I took a deep breath. Once, twice, 3 times. I wasn't going to faint. I wasn't going to cry. Not this time. Mark, I need you to do me a favor. Anything you need, ma'am. Copy all of this. Videos, documents, messages, everything. On 3 different USB drives. Yes, ma'am. And don't tell anyone I showed you this. Anyone. Not your wife, not your kids, not your buddy. Understood? Understood. If Mason asks you anything, you know nothing. You saw nothing. Clear? Crystal clear, Mrs. Eleanor. I sat in Arthur's chair. I ran my fingers over the marks his hands had left on the wooden arms. 40 years of use. 40 years of honest work. And now his son was spitting on that legacy. But something had changed inside me. Ever since I found the family album in the trash, something had broken. Not the grief, the fear. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry, cold, calculated, lethal. Ma'am, are you going to report him? I looked at Mark, this loyal man who had protected our business for 15 years, who cried at Arthur's funeral because he truly loved him. Not yet, I replied. First, I'm going to let him keep believing I'm a foolish old woman. Ma'am, I smiled. It was a smile I didn't recognize as my own. Mason is going to learn something his father never managed to teach him. What's that? That the most dangerous woman is the one you underestimate. I left the warehouse as the sky began to turn orange, the rising sun over the city. Arthur loved this time of day. It's the world giving you another chance, Ellie, he'd say. Another chance. Yes, but this time the chance wasn't for forgiveness. It was for justice. And my son had no idea what was coming for him. 3 days after discovering the truth, Chloe organized a family dinner. Mom, I invited some relatives over. Nothing formal, just a get-together to lift your spirits. She didn't ask me if I wanted to. She informed me, like you inform a small child they're going to the dentist. Who did you invite? I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. Oh, well, Aunt Carol, her kids, Robert and his wife, the Millers from next door. You know, close family. Close family. Witnesses more like. I knew it right then. This wasn't a dinner. It was an ambush. I spent those 3 days acting, pretending I knew nothing, letting Chloe reorganize my house, letting Mason leave for the gym at 10 at night, letting them both talk to me as if I were a disoriented old woman. Mom, did you take your vitamins? Mom, did you remember to turn off the stove? Mom, I'd better drive. You don't see well at night anymore. Every sentence was a drop of poison, but I smiled. I nodded. I let them believe they were winning. Meanwhile, I contacted my niece Claire, my sister Carol's youngest daughter, a lawyer, 38 years old, brilliant, with her own firm specializing in family and estate law. I called her from a payphone. Yes, they still exist. On the corner by the pharmacy, where Mason would never see me. Aunt Ellie? Are you okay? You hardly answer your cell. I need to see you. Alone. It's urgent. We met at a coffee shop downtown, far from my neighborhood. I showed her the copies Mark had given me. The videos, the documents, the WhatsApp messages. Claire turned pale as she reviewed everything. Aunt Ellie, this is fraud, document forgery, embezzlement. Mason could go to jail. I know. Do you want me to file a report? Not yet. Why? I stared at my coffee cup. It was already cold. Because first, I want him to feel what I've felt. The humiliation, the contempt, the betrayal. Claire took my hand across the table. Auntie, I understand, but this is delicate. If we wait too long, he could sell more things. He could forge more documents. Mark is watching. They won't take a single pin out of that warehouse without us knowing. And the fake power of attorney? That's where you come in. I need you to contact the real notary. Mr. Harrison, the one who did Arthur's will. Have him ready in case Mason tries to file false documents. Claire nodded, taking notes on her phone. Anything else? Yes. Find out about Chloe's debts. I need to know exactly how much she owes and to whom. I can have that in 2 days. Perfect. And Claire? I need you to come to the dinner on Friday. The family dinner? Yes, just be there. Watch, don't say anything yet. Auntie, what are you planning? I smiled. That new smile I had discovered, the one that was scary. Justice, honey. Just justice. Friday came too quickly. Chloe decorated the house as if it were hers. Flowers on the table, scented candles, background music. She had ordered food from an expensive restaurant, with my money, of course. The guests arrived at 7. Aunt Carol, my older sister, with her husband Paul, Claire and her brother Chris, Robert and his wife Julia, Arthur's loyal partners, the Millers, our neighbors of 30 years, 10 people in total. They all hugged me with genuine concern. Ellie, how have you been? You look thinner. Are you eating well? If you need anything, we're here. Real love, from people who truly knew me. How ironic that my own son didn't feel a fraction of that affection. The dinner started normally. Pot roast, rice, green beans, and dinner rolls. Conversations about the weather, about traffic, about the Christmas holidays that were approaching. Mason was especially kind, attentive. He poured water, offered bread, asked if anyone needed anything. The perfect son. Chloe, for her part, played the role of the devoted daughter-in-law, worried, affectionate, always looking out for me. Mom, would you like more gravy? Let me get you some. Careful with the hot plate, Mom. Don't burn yourself. Cheap theater, but everyone was buying the performance, until dessert arrived. Cheesecake, Arthur's favorite. Chloe served it ceremoniously. And then, while everyone was eating, she dropped the bomb. Well, family, Mason and I invited you here today because we need to talk about something important. My fork froze mid-air. It's about Mason's mom, about Eleanor. Everyone turned to look at me. You see, this isn't easy to say, but we've noticed disturbing changes in her behavior. Absolute silence. What kind of changes? Aunt Carol asked, frowning. Mason took control. He wiped his mouth with his napkin. He put on a pained expression. Mom has been forgetting things, repeating stories, confusing dates. Last Tuesday, Chloe added, she asked 3 times if we had eaten dinner yet, and we were eating dinner at that very moment. A lie. It never happened. Also, Mason continued, we found the stove on twice in the middle of the night. She says she doesn't remember turning it on. Another lie. And well, Chloe lowered her voice, as if it pained her to say it. The other day I found her talking to herself in the garden, having a full conversation with Arthur. Murmurs around the table. It's normal to talk to those we've lost, Julia said, defensively. Yes, of course, Mason agreed. But she thought he was answering her. She thought she could hear him. More lies. All lies, but woven with enough detail to sound credible. We've also noticed she's more irritable, Chloe added. She gets upset over anything. She accuses us of moving her things, of stealing from her. She accused you of stealing? Aunt Carol asked, looking at me. I opened my mouth to answer, but Mason interrupted me. Mom, no one is judging you. It's normal at your age. The brain gets tired. At my age, 67, as if I were a ruin. That's why, Chloe continued, we've been researching professional care options. Care options? Robert repeated, his voice hard. Specialized residences, Mason clarified. Places where they can look after her 24 hours a day, with nurses, doctors, therapists. A nursing home, I said finally. My voice sounded clear, firm, too lucid for someone supposedly senile. It's not a nursing home, Mom, Mason corrected, almost impatiently. It's a luxury residence, with gardens, activities, people your age. You want to lock me up? No, we want you to be safe. You want to get rid of me. Mom, see? You're getting paranoid. This is exactly what we're talking about. Chloe put her hand on Mason's in a perfectly rehearsed gesture of spousal support. Family, we understand this is hard to process, but we live with her. We see what you don't see. And we're worried. Very worried. In fact, Mason pulled a folder from under his chair. We've already contacted a specialist. Dr. Evans, a recognized geriatrician. He passed the folder to Aunt Carol. Inside was a preliminary diagnosis. Mild cognitive decline. Recommendation. Constant supervision and possible institutionalization. This is a bot evaluation, Claire said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. I'm sorry, what did you say? Mason asked, his jaw tight. I said, that doctor never examined my aunt. Oh yes, Aunt Ellie. I remained silent, letting Claire set the trap. Mason, when did this doctor examine your mother? Claire pressed. A few days ago. He came to the house. What day exactly? I don't remember the exact date, Claire. I didn't keep a notarized log. How convenient. Are you calling me a liar? I'm asking questions. As a lawyer. Because this, she pointed to the document, has all the hallmarks of a fraudulent diagnosis. Chloe stood up abruptly. Look, kid, I don't know who you think you are. I'm the niece who actually cares about my aunt without wanting to rob her. Nobody is robbing anyone, Mason shouted. The silence that followed was deafening. Robert stood up slowly from his chair. Mason, son, I've known your mother for 20 years. I worked with your dad since you were barely walking. And I'm going to tell you something. Eleanor Hayes is the most lucid woman I know, more lucid than you and me put together. Robert, you don't live with her. I work with her. Every day. And 3 days ago we reviewed the entire warehouse inventory together. Every number, every piece, every invoice. Without a single mistake. Mason turned pale. That doesn't prove anything. It proves you're not. Aunt Carol intervened. Ellie, honey, what do you say to all this? 10 pairs of eyes stared at me. It was my moment. I could explode, reveal everything, destroy them right there in front of everyone. But no, not yet. I'm tired, I said simply. I think I'm going to retire to my room. Mom, enjoy the dessert. Excuse me. I got up from the table with all the dignity I could muster. I walked toward the stairs. I heard murmurs behind me. Claire defending me. Robert questioning. Aunt Carol demanding explanations. And Chloe, with that sickly, sweet, venomous voice. See? This is how she gets. Dramatic. She makes us look bad in front of everyone. I reached my room. I closed the door. And only then, only there, in the privacy of my grief, did I allow myself to cry. Not from sadness, from rage, because they had humiliated me in my own home. In front of my family, using my grief as a weapon, painting me as a crazy person, as a burden, as an obstacle to be discarded. But as the tears fell, as I hugged the pillow that still smelled like Arthur, I made a promise. This humiliation would be the last, because the game was just beginning, and I had always been a better player than Mason imagined. The next morning, Claire showed up at my door at 8 in the morning. I tapped on her car window before she got out. I got in quickly. Drive. Far away from here. She didn't ask questions. She just drove. Mason and Chloe were still asleep, or so it seemed. I no longer trusted anything that happened inside that house. We went to a cafe in Cambridge, a small, hidden one, where nobody knew us. Claire ordered 2 black coffees and a plate of pastries that neither of us touched. Auntie, last night was a nightmare. I know. After you left, I tried to confront them more forcefully. Mason got aggressive. Chloe started crying, playing the victim. Said they only wanted what was best for you. And the others? Robert didn't believe a word. Your sister Carol is confused. She says Mason has always been complicated. But she never thought he was capable of something like this. I took a sip of coffee. Bitter. Perfect. Did you find out about Chloe's debts? Claire took out her tablet. She showed me a spreadsheet. 3 credit cards. Total, $68,400. Average interest rate, 48% annually. She hasn't made a minimum payment in 6 months. 2 banks are already suing her. And Mason? The betting platform has him on a credit report. He owes $31,800. Plus late fees. It's almost $38,000 by now. I did the mental math. Over $100,000 in debt. That's why the urgency. That's why the plan to sell everything quickly. There's more, Auntie. I investigated Dr. Evans, the one with the fake diagnosis. And? He was disbarred from the medical board 2 years ago. Malpractice. He was selling fake medical certificates for disability pensions. Mason paid him $3,500 for that piece of paper. $3,500. To declare me insane. To steal my freedom, my dignity, my life. Auntie, we have enough evidence to put Mason in jail. And Chloe, too. I know. Then why are we waiting? I looked out the cafe window. The city was waking up. People going to work. Kids walking to school. Vendors setting up their stalls. Normal life. Something I hadn't had since Arthur died. Because I want them to fall harder, Claire. I want them to feel what I've felt. The fear. The helplessness. The betrayal. Auntie, I need your help. But it has to be on my terms. Claire closed the tablet. She looked me straight in the eye. What do you need? For the next hour, we laid out the plan. Claire would contact Mr. Harrison, the notary who did Arthur's will. She would inform him of the attempted forgery. She would prepare preventative legal documents. She would investigate Mason and Chloe's finances more deeply. Every debt, every creditor, every suspicious transaction. Meanwhile, I would do something I had never done. Learn technology. I need to install cameras in the house, I told Claire. Small ones, hidden. Auntie, that's easy. There are cameras that look like smoke detectors, clocks, outlets. I'll get them today. And how do I use them? I'll teach you. You have a cell phone, right? I pulled out my phone. A basic model Arthur had given me 3 years ago. Auntie, you need a better one. A smartphone. With internet, with apps. I don't know how to use those things. You'll learn. And I learned. That same afternoon, Claire took me to buy a new smartphone. She taught me how to download apps, how to connect to Wi-Fi, how to check the cameras in real time. I felt clumsy. My fingers wouldn't obey. I kept making mistakes. Slowly, Auntie. No one is born knowing. We practiced for 3 hours in her office. By the end, I could see the cameras from my phone. 4 cameras, strategically placed. 1 in the living room, hidden in a picture frame. 1 in the kitchen, inside a wall clock. 1 in the hallway leading to the bedrooms, camouflaged in a smoke detector. 1 in Arthur's study, inside a lamp. They record automatically when they detect motion, Claire explained. Everything is saved to the cloud. Even if they destroy the cameras, the recordings are safe. And they can't delete them? No, only you have access with your password. Perfect. That night, I returned home at 7. Mason was in the living room watching television. Where were you, Mom? Chloe made dinner. I went to the doctor. The doctor? Which doctor? A checkup. You know, old age stuff. I said it with that frail, elderly voice they expected to hear. It worked. Mason turned his attention back to the TV. Good. You're taking care of yourself. You should go more often. Yes, honey. You're right. I went up to my room. I locked the door. I opened the app on my new phone. All 4 cameras were active. I could see the living room, where Mason was still watching TV. The kitchen, where Chloe was cooking something that smelled burned. The hallway, empty. Arthur's study, untouched. I waited. At 9 at night, Mason came to my door. Mom, you awake? Yes, honey. Can I come in? Go ahead. He came in with an envelope in his hand. Look, I need you to sign these papers. What papers? They're for the health insurance, to update your policy. Nothing important. I took the envelope. I opened it slowly, as if my hands were trembling with age. Inside were 3 documents. None of them were for health insurance. They were powers of attorney, giving him total control over my bank accounts, my properties, my medical decisions. Mason, this isn't for the insurance. Of course it is, Mom. Look closely. It says, power of attorney. Oh, Mom, it's the same thing. It's part of the insurance process. Lie after lie after lie. I need to read it carefully. Why? It's just boring legal language. Just sign here, here, and here. I'm not signing anything without reading it. His face hardened. Mom, don't start with your stubbornness. It's not stubbornness. It's prudence. Look, if you don't trust me, just say so. I didn't say that. But you're thinking it. You've always thought it. I've never been good enough for you. Here came the emotional blackmail. Mason, you are my son. I love you, but I'm not signing papers I don't understand. They're for the insurance. Then I can read them tomorrow with fresh eyes and sign them the day after. I need them today. The deadline is tomorrow. Well, then the deadline will pass. He just stood there, breathing heavily, his fists clenched. For a moment, I was afraid he might hit me, but he controlled himself. You know what, Mom? Do whatever you want. You always do whatever you want anyway. He stormed out, slamming the door. The hallway camera captured it all. Him walking furiously down the stairs, entering the living room where Chloe was waiting. Did she sign? She asked. No. The suspicious old bat wouldn't sign. Did you tell her about the insurance? Yes, but she didn't buy it. Damn it, Mason. We need those signatures. I know, but I can't force her. She'll get more suspicious. Chloe bit a perfectly manicured nail. Then we have to speed up Plan B. What Plan B? The psychologist. Get her declared incompetent. That way we get legal guardianship without her signature. That takes time. Not that much. Dr. Evans says he can have the papers in 2 weeks. But we need evidence of her mental decline. What kind of evidence? Chloe smiled. That snake-like smile I knew so well. Leave it to me. From my room, with the phone in my hand, I saw everything. I heard everything. And I recorded everything. The next day, Robert came to visit me. I met him at the warehouse, not the house. Eleanor, what's going on? Last night your son called me, asking for the business's accounting books. What did you tell him? That you're the majority partner and I won't give him anything without your authorization. He got angry, very angry. Thank you, Robert. I need you to keep doing that. Don't give him anything. Are you going to tell me what's happening? I took a deep breath, and I told him everything. The theft, the fake invoices, the debts, the plan to declare me senile, to lock me in a home, to take everything. Robert turned pale as he listened. When I finished, he slammed his fist on the desk. That damn bastard. Arthur must be spinning in his grave. That's why he can't find out, Robert. I need you to act normal, like you don't know anything. Why don't we report him now? Because I want more evidence. I want him to fall so hard he can never get up again. Robert looked at me with renewed respect. Arthur always said you were the strong one. Now I understand why. Will you help me? To the end, Eleanor. To the bitter end. That week was a masterpiece of acting. Me, playing the confused old woman. Mason and Chloe, believing they were winning. And the cameras, recording every second. They recorded Chloe hiding my glasses so I couldn't find things. They recorded Mason moving the TV remote and then asking me where I'd put it. They recorded Chloe turning the stove on low at 2 in the morning, leaving it on, only to discover it in the morning and say I had left it on. Small cruelties designed to build their narrative, to make me look senile, to justify my confinement. But every single one was documented, with date, time, and clear evidence of manipulation. Meanwhile, Claire worked in silence. She got certified copies of Arthur's real will. She alerted Mr. Harrison to the forgery attempt. She prepared a criminal complaint for fraud, forgery, and breach of trust. She contacted Chloe's creditors to confirm the debts. She found the manager of the betting platform willing to testify about Mason's losses. Every piece of the puzzle was falling into place. And I, meanwhile, continued to be the foolish old woman who didn't notice a thing. One afternoon, while making coffee, I heard Chloe talking on the phone in the garden. The camera captured her perfectly. Yes, Dr. Evans. We need the certificate by next week. No problem with the payment. We'll deposit the $3,500 as we agreed. Perfect. Make sure it says severe cognitive decline, not just mild. We need it to sound urgent. Yes, we already have evidence of erratic behavior. Excellent. See you Friday. She hung up and smiled, as if she had just won the lottery. She didn't know she had just signed her own sentence, because the Friday she was waiting for would be the day her entire world came crashing down. On Monday morning, I came down to breakfast in my bathrobe, my hair uncombed, shuffling in my slippers. Chloe was in the kitchen, putting on makeup in the small mirror she had hung next to the refrigerator. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, honey. Have you had breakfast? Yes, an hour ago. Do you want me to make you something? No, thank you. I already ate. Chloe turned to look at me, narrowing her eyes. You already ate? Mom, it's barely 8 in the morning. You just came downstairs. Really? Oh, how silly. I got confused. I registered the spark of satisfaction in her eyes. Don't worry. It happens to all of us. Not to all of us, only to those being manipulated to appear senile. I poured some coffee. I accidentally dropped a mug. It shattered on the floor. Oh no! I'm sorry. Mom, be careful. Don't bend down. You'll cut yourself. I'll clean it up. Chloe took out her phone while she swept up the pieces. I saw her take pictures of the fragments on the floor. Evidence of my clumsiness. So predictable. On Tuesday, during lunch, I asked what day it was 3 times. Mom, I already told you. It's Tuesday. Tuesday? I thought it was Monday. No, it's Tuesday. You asked me 10 minutes ago. Yes, I don't remember. Mason and Chloe exchanged significant looks. That night I heard them talking in their room. The cameras didn't reach in there, but I had left my new phone recording audio hidden in the bathroom we shared. Claire had taught me the trick. She's getting worse, fast, Chloe said. I know. She broke a mug today. Yesterday she left the water running in the sink for half an hour. That was a lie, but I let them believe what they wanted. Dr. Evans is coming on Friday. He'll evaluate her officially, and then we'll have the certificate. How long after that can we file for guardianship? The lawyer says we can have a hearing in 2 weeks. And with the medical certificate, plus the declarations of erratic behavior, it's almost certain they'll grant it. And can she fight it? She can try. But if she's declared incompetent, her word isn't valid. We'll be her legal guardians. We can do whatever we want. Sell the building, liquidate the business, keep everything. And her in a nice home, well cared for, not bothering anyone. Laughter. Laughter about my future confinement, about stealing my freedom, about destroying everything Arthur and I built. I gripped the phone in my hands, holding back the rage. Not yet. Not yet. On Wednesday, I did something I never thought I'd do. I threw myself on the floor in the living room, on purpose, calculatedly. I screamed as if I had fallen. Mason came running from the kitchen. Mom, what happened? I slipped. I don't know how. Does anything hurt? No, I don't think so. He helped me up. I pretended it was difficult. Mom, you have to be more careful. I'm sorry, honey. What were you doing? I was going to. I paused. I looked around, as if confused. I don't remember. I saw the glint in his eyes. Satisfaction. Horror. A mixture of both. It's okay, Mom. Come on, sit down. I'll get you some water. That night we ate in silence. Chloe watched me like a scientist studying a specimen. Mom, how are you feeling? Fine, honey. Why? Because of your fall today. What fall? This afternoon. In the living room. I fell? Mason dropped his fork. Mom, you don't remember falling? Oh, yes. Yes, I remember now. I'm sorry. But it didn't sound convincing. I did it on purpose, because I needed them to think my mind was really failing, that it was real, that they were winning. Thursday was the hardest day. because I had to say something unforgivable. I came down for breakfast. Mason was at the table, checking his phone. I looked at him. I narrowed my eyes. Who? Who are you? He froze. What? Who are you? Why are you in my house? Mom, it's me. Mason. Your son. Mason? No, no. Mason is a little boy. You're a grown man. He stood up from the chair, pale. Mom, are you joking? Right? I kept my gaze empty, distant. I don't know you. I'm your son. Don't yell. You're scaring me. Chloe came running from upstairs. What's wrong? She doesn't recognize me. She says she doesn't know who I am. Chloe looked me straight in the eyes, and I held the act. Lost gaze. Confusion. Fear. Mom, it's Mason. Your son. Don't you recognize him? My son? My son is little. He's 7 years old. Mason sank into the chair, his head in his hands. My God, she's worse than I thought. It was the hardest performance of my life, because I had to see the pain in his face and not break. I had to pretend not to recognize the child I bore, the one I nursed, the one I cared for when he had chickenpox, and I didn't sleep for 3 straight nights. But I did it, because I needed them to believe. Completely, without a doubt. I waited 5 minutes. Then I blinked, as if coming out of a fog. Mason? Mom? You recognize me now? Of course, honey. Why wouldn't I recognize you? Because a minute ago you said. What did I say? That you didn't know who I was. Don't be silly. You're my son. He exchanged a look with Chloe. Mom, are you feeling okay? Yes, perfectly. Why does everyone keep asking me that? No reason. No reason. That afternoon, while they thought I was napping, I heard them call Dr. Evans. Doctor, we need to move up the appointment. It's urgent. This morning she didn't recognize me. Yes, seriously. She thought I was a stranger. No. It lasted a few minutes, and then she went back to normal. But she didn't remember the episode. Can you come tomorrow, instead of Friday? Perfect. At 3 in the afternoon. We'll be waiting. He hung up. I immediately called Claire from my new phone. They moved up the fake doctor's visit, tomorrow at 3. Do you want me to be there? No, but I need you to have everything ready, just in case. Everything? The documents, the complaints, the evidence, everything. Auntie, are you sure? We can stop them tomorrow. Not yet. I want the fake certificate in my hands. It's the final piece. It's risky, I know, but trust me. There was silence on the other end. Okay, Auntie, but I'll be outside your house, in my car. Anything happens, you call me, and I'm coming in. Deal. Friday arrived overcast, gray sky, cold air, threatening rain. As if the weather knew something important was about to happen. I dressed with special care. An old sweater of Arthur's that still held his scent, comfortable pants, my hair pulled back carelessly. The perfect image of a neglected old woman. At 1 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Chloe opened the door with a huge smile. Dr. Evans, so good to see you. Come in, come in. He was a short, chubby man with thick glasses and a worn leather briefcase. He didn't inspire confidence. He inspired pity. Mrs. Hayes, a pleasure. I'm Dr. Evans. He held out his hand. I shook it weakly. Doctor, am I sick? No. I'm just here to ask you a few questions. A routine evaluation. Why? Mason intervened. Because we want to make sure you're okay, Mom. Nothing more. Oh, all right. We sat in the living room. The doctor opened his briefcase. He took out forms, a tablet, a blood pressure cuff. All right, Mrs. Hayes. I'm going to ask you some simple questions. Okay? Okay. What day is it today? I paused for a long time. Thursday? No, ma'am. It's Friday. Oh, yes. Friday. What month are we in? In. I looked at Mason, as if looking for help. Please don't help her, the doctor said. November, I finally answered. Correct. And what year? 2024. Very good. Now, can you tell me your full address? I said it. Correctly. Your husband's name? Arthur Hayes. Where is he now? I lowered my gaze. He passed away. When? A little while ago. Can you be more specific? About 2 weeks ago, I think. It was 3, but I needed them to think I wasn't sure. The doctor took notes. He continued with memory questions, orientation, simple math. I failed some deliberately. I got others right to maintain credibility. The perfect balance of lucidity and confusion. Now, ma'am, I'm going to give you 3 words. I want you to remember them. I'll ask you for them later. Ready? Yes. House, window, dog. Perfect. He continued with other tests. Draw a clock. I drew it badly, putting the numbers outside the circle, subtract by 7s from 100. I got mixed up on the 3rd number. Name animals in 1 minute. I only named 6, all calculated, all measured. Finally, after 40 minutes, he closed his folder. All right, Mrs. Hayes, one last question. Do you remember the 3 words I told you at the beginning? I pretended to think. House, yes, and window, correct. And the 3rd one? Silence. I looked at the ceiling, at the window, at my hands. No, I don't remember. That's all right. Don't worry. The doctor stood up. He spoke to Mason and Chloe in a low voice, but loud enough for me to hear. The decline is evident. Temporal disorientation. Short-term memory failure. Difficulty with calculation tasks. I recommend constant supervision. How serious is it, doctor? Chloe asked with false concern. Serious enough to consider specialized care. I am going to issue the medical certificate recommending legal guardianship. When can we have it? I'll email it to you tonight. And the certified original will arrive by courier tomorrow. Perfect, doctor. Thank you so much. They paid him in cash. I saw the bills change hands. $3,500. The price of my freedom according to them. The price of their destruction according to me. When the doctor left, Chloe sat next to me. Mom, how are you feeling? Fine. Why did that man come? Oh, no reason, Mom. Just a checkup. Ah. Mason was in the kitchen, talking to someone on the phone. Yes, we have the medical certificate now. We'll have the physical copy tomorrow. Then we can proceed with the guardianship filing next week. Excellent. Thank you, counselor. He hung up the phone. He turned to look at Chloe, and they smiled. Like 2 hyenas looking at their wounded prey, not knowing that the prey had been setting the trap for 3 weeks, and that they were about to walk right into it, because on Monday would be the day their entire world fell apart, and I would be there to watch, with a smile. Okay, to continue with the great confrontation, retrying ROK Part 9. The Great Confrontation. Poetic Justice. Saturday morning, Mason entered my room without knocking. I was sitting on the bed looking out the window. Mom, we need to talk. What is it, honey? He sat next to me. He took my hand. A loving gesture. Fake. Look, Chloe and I have been thinking. This house is too big for you. It's hard for you to maintain. And after what the doctor saw yesterday. What doctor? The one who came to check on you. Oh, yes. What did he say? That you need help, Mom. Specialized care. Am I sick? It's not that. It's just that at your age, it's normal to need support. At my age, 67. As if I were a relic. That's why we found a perfect place for you. A residence in Weston. It has gardens, activities, 24-hour nurses. You'll be very comfortable. You want to put me in a nursing home? It's not a nursing home, Mom. It's a luxury residence. I don't want to go. Mom, it's not your decision. That phrase, that damned phrase, it's not your decision, about my own life. The doctor certified that you need guardianship. Chloe and I are filing for it next week. And once we have it, we're going to make the decisions that are best for you. Mason, I am your mother. You can't do this. I can and I will. It's for your own good. It's not for my good. It's for my money. He stood up abruptly. See, there it is again. Your paranoia, your baseless accusations. I know what you're doing. I know about the money you stole from the warehouse. He paled. Just for a second. But I saw it. I don't know what you're talking about. About the $45,000 in merchandise you sold. About the fake invoices. About the appointments with real estate agents to sell the building. Absolute silence. His eyes darkened. Who told you that? No one had to tell me. I know. You're crazy. The doctor was right. You're making things up. Is Mark crazy too? Is he also making up the security videos of you carrying merchandise out at 11 at night? The color drained from his face. Your father is dead, Mason. But even if he were alive, he would have never given you permission to give away fabrics worth $1,200 for $300. I needed the money to pay for your gambling, your $31,800 in online casino debts. How do you know? And the $68,400 Chloe owes on her credit cards. He fell silent, trapped. Mom, let me explain. There's nothing to explain. You planned everything. Steal the merchandise, sell the building, declare me senile, lock me up, and take everything. We needed the money, then work. My shout echoed through the house. Chloe appeared at the door. What's going on in here? She knows, baby. She knows everything. Chloe looked at me, no longer with pity, with pure hatred. And what are you going to do, Mom? Call the police? Report your own son? If I have to. She let out a dry cackle. You won't. Moms like you never do. You always forgive. You always justify. He's my baby, my poor little boy. He just had a bad streak. You don't know me. Oh, I know you perfectly. You're a weak old woman who can't let go of her son. That's why you're going to sign whatever we tell you. That's why you're going to go quietly to the residence. Because you don't have the guts to do anything else. I got off the bed. I walked toward her, slowly, with all the dignity I could muster. You're right about one thing, Chloe. I am a mother, and for a long time, that made me weak. It made me blind. See? She admits it. But I'm also the woman who built a business from scratch, who raised an empire with calloused hands, who survived 40 years in a brutal market. So? And that woman doesn't let herself be robbed by a pair of parasites. Chloe took a step toward me, threatening. Watch your mouth, old woman. Or what? Are you going to hit me? Go ahead. The cameras are rolling. She froze. What cameras? The 4 hidden cameras in this house. The ones that have recorded every lie, every manipulation, every attempt to make me look senile for 3 weeks. Mason started to panic. Mom, there are no cameras. You're making it up. I pulled my new phone from my sweater pocket. I opened the app. I showed them the screen. 4 live video feeds. Living room, kitchen, hallway, study. And in the top corner, the counter. 487 saved videos. Oh my God, Mason whispered. It's all documented. Chloe hiding my glasses. You moving the remote. Chloe leaving the stove on purpose. Your conversations about Project Miami. The payment to Dr. Evans. Everything. Chloe ripped the phone from my hand. This can be erased. It's in the cloud. Even if you destroy the phone, the copies are safe. With my niece, Claire. With Mr. Harrison. With Robert. You're lying. Call her. Ask her. Mason sank into the chair, his head in his hands. We're screwed. We can still fix this, Chloe said. We can negotiate. Negotiate what? I asked. We leave. Right now. We disappear. And you don't press charges. In exchange for what? In exchange for Mason still being your son? For not putting him in jail? Emotional blackmail. Until the very last second. Mason stopped being my son when he decided to betray me. I'm your blood, he yelled, standing up. You can't do this to me. You did this to yourself. You gave me a grandchild that was never born. You gave me years of your life. You gave me debts, lies, betrayal. Mom, please. He knelt in front of me. Real tears this time. Forgive me. Forgive me. It was Chloe's idea. She convinced me. I didn't want to. Don't blame her. You were the one who stole the merchandise. You were the one who forged my signature. You were the one who called me a dramatic old burden in your text messages. I was angry. I wasn't thinking. You thought it, and you felt it. And now you're going to face the consequences. The doorbell rang. Chloe ran to the window. There are 2 police cars outside. I called them an hour ago, I said calmly. You can't do this. I can. And I am. Mason clung to my legs. Mom, no. Please. I'm begging you. Don't send me to jail. Dad wouldn't have wanted this. That was the last straw. I bent down. I looked him in the eyes. Your father died believing you were a good man. He died not knowing his son was a thief, a liar, a traitor. And you know what the saddest part is, Mason? That was a mercy. Because if he had lived to see this, it would have broken his heart. Mom. But I did see it. I did live it. And I am not going to let you keep spitting on his memory. The doorbell rang again. More insistent. I went downstairs to open it. 2 police officers. A man and a woman. Young. Serious. Mrs. Eleanor Hayes? That's me. We have a warrant for the arrest of Mason Hayes and Chloe Hayes. For fraud, document forgery, and embezzlement. They're upstairs. In my room. I led them up the stairs. Mason was still kneeling on the floor, sobbing. Chloe was by the window, looking for an escape that didn't exist. Mason Hayes, Chloe Hayes, you are under arrest. This is a mistake, Chloe screamed. This crazy old woman is setting us up. The female officer looked at her coldly. We have solid evidence. Videos, documents, testimony. It's not a setup, it's justice. They put the handcuffs on them. Mason looked at me one last time. Mom, are you really going to do this? You already did it, honey. I'm just finishing what you started. They took them away. Both of them. Down the stairs of the house where their lies grew. Out the door that Arthur and I had crossed 1,000 times with hope. Into the patrol cars as the neighbors watched. And I just stood there, in the doorway, watching them take my only son away. I didn't cry. Not yet. Because the grief would come later. But in that moment, I only felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. Claire arrived 10 minutes later, running. Auntie, are you okay? Yes, honey. I'm okay. They're being processed this afternoon. We have everything ready. The evidence is solid. How much time? Mason could face 6 months to 2 years for the fraud. Chloe, the same. Plus the civil suits from the creditors. And Dr. Evans is already being investigated by the medical board. And the business? Safe. Robert transferred everything to a protected trust in your name. Mason can't touch anything. And the house? Also protected. I had the locks changed this morning. Here are the new keys. I took the keys. Heavy. Cold. Mine. Thank you, Claire. No, Auntie. Thank you. For being so brave. I don't feel brave, but you are. That night, I sat in Arthur's study, in his chair, looking at his books, his fabric samples, his photographs. I found a letter, hidden in his journal, with my name on it. Arthur's handwriting. Shaky, but clear. I opened it with trembling hands. My dearest Ellie, if you are reading this, it's because I'm gone. And if you found this letter, it's because you need it. I knew our son better than you thought. I know he is weak. I know he is selfish. I know he doesn't have what it takes to care for what we built. That's why I left clauses in the will. If Mason betrays you, if he tries to take what is yours, he automatically loses his inheritance. Everything goes to you. And if you're reading this, it probably already happened. He probably betrayed you. Forgive me for not being harder on him, for spoiling him so much. I thought love would change him. But some children are born to break hearts. Don't feel guilty for defending yourself. Don't feel guilty for choosing yourself. You deserve it. You are the strongest woman I know. And I know you will be okay. I will always love you. Arthur. The tears I didn't shed during the arrest came now, in floods, in sobs. I cried for Arthur, for the son we lost, for the wasted years of effort, for the family that could have been and never was. But I also cried with relief, because I didn't have to pretend anymore. I didn't have to endure. I didn't have to be weak. I was free, finally, painfully, but free. And that freedom was worth every tear shed. 3 months later, life has a curious way of moving on, even when you think everything is over. Mason was sentenced to 8 months in prison for fraud and document forgery. Chloe received 6 months. Both also faced civil suits from their creditors for over $100,000. Dr. Evans permanently lost his medical license and faced criminal charges for falsifying medical documents. I recovered every dollar stolen from the warehouse. Robert and Mark helped me track down every piece sold illegally. Some we got back, others we wrote off as a loss. But the business survived. More than that, it flourished. One Tuesday morning in February, I opened the doors of the Arthur Hayes School of Textiles, a space on the ground floor of the warehouse building. Large classrooms, industrial sewing machines, embroidery hoops, cutting tables, and 25 young people between 18 and 30 years old, mostly women, some single mothers, other kids from tough neighborhoods, all with the same desire to learn a dignified trade. "Good morning," I said in front of them all, my heart beating fast. "My name is Eleanor Hayes, and together with my husband Arthur, we built this business from scratch 40 years ago. Today, we are going to teach you everything we know." We taught them to recognize fabrics, to calculate costs, to manage inventory, to sew, to embroider, to design. But above all, we taught them to value themselves, to not let anyone walk over them, to build with their own hands. Robert became an official partner. His youngest son, David, a freshly graduated designer with fresh ideas and genuine talent, joined us too. Between the three of us, we modernized the business without losing its essence. We created a website, social media, digital catalogs. Sales increased by 30% in 2 months. Arthur would be proud. One afternoon, while reviewing numbers in the study, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Eleanor Hayes? This is she. This is the South Bay Correctional Facility. Your son, Mason Hayes, is requesting a family visit." My heart stopped for a second. "When?" "This Saturday at 10 in the morning. Do you accept the visit?" I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. "Yes, I accept." Saturday dawned sunny. Cold, but with that winter sun that warms just enough. I dressed with care. A cream-colored sweater, jeans. The silver necklace Arthur gave me for our 25th anniversary, Claire offered to come with me. I told her no. This was something I had to do alone. The prison was a gray building, surrounded by fences, with guards at every corner. I passed through 3 security filters: bag check, metal detector, pat down. They took me to a visiting room, metal tables bolted to the floor, plastic chairs, a smell of disinfectant mixed with sweat. I waited for 15 minutes. Then I saw him enter. Mason, but not the Mason I knew. This man was thinner, pale, with deep dark circles and unkempt hair. He was wearing a beige inmate uniform. He sat down across from me. We looked at each other in silence for a full minute. "Thanks for coming, Mom." "How are you?" "Surviving." Silence again. "Chloe?" I asked. "She's at MCI Framingham. We haven't had contact. And you?" I've had a lot of time to think in here. And what have you thought?" "That I was the world's biggest idiot." A tear rolled down his cheek. "Mom, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to forget what I did. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Are you sorry for what you did? Or sorry you got caught?" The question hit him like a slap. I'm sorry for both. I'm being honest. I'm sorry I got caught, because now I'm here. But also, every night, I see Dad's face, and it hurts. It hurts to know I disappointed him, that I disappointed you. Your father left a letter. A letter? Where he said he knew you, that he knew you were weak. That's why he left clauses in the will to protect me from you." Mason closed his eyes. The tears were flowing freely now. He was always smarter than me. "Yes, he was. Mom, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, but when I get out of here..." "What? Can I try to make it up to you somehow? Work in the business? Earn your trust back?" I looked at my son. at this 42-year-old man who was still, in many ways, a scared child. Mason, trust isn't given, it's earned. With time, with actions, with proof. I know. When you get out, if you want to work, you'll have to start from the bottom. No office, no management, warehouse. Loading, cleaning, whatever is needed. I'll do it, whatever it takes. And you will have to pay back every dollar you stole with your labor. No excuses, okay. And if you betray me again, if you lie to me again, if you try to manipulate me again, there will be no second chances. Understood? Understood. Understood. I extended my hand across the table. He took it. It was cold, trembling, but it was there. I don't know if I can ever trust you completely again, Mason, but I can give you the chance to try. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. Don't thank me. Show me. I nodded. I stood up. Mom, wait. Yes? Can I? I hesitated. Just for a second. Then I opened my arms. Mason stood up. He hugged me, hard, desperate, like when he was a child and had nightmares. I'm so sorry, forgive me. Please. Forgive me. Someday, honey. Someday. I let him go. I walked out of that room without looking back. Because if I looked back, if I saw him crying there, sitting alone at that metal table, I would break. And I had already cried enough. 2 weeks later, we officially inaugurated the trade school. We had a small ceremony, nothing ostentatious. Pastries, coffee. The 25 students came with their families. Robert and his wife Julia. Claire and my nephews. Aunt Carol. The Millers. Mark and his family. People who truly loved me. I gave a short speech. Arthur always said that true success isn't measured in how much you have, but in how much you share. Today, by opening this school in his name, I am sharing what he taught me. That honest work gives dignity, that hands that create are worth more than hands that steal, and that true family doesn't always come from blood, but from the heart. Applause, hugs, tears of joy. One of the students, Leah, a 22-year-old girl with 2 small children, approached me afterward. Mrs. Hayes, I want you to know that you saved my life. Me? How? My husband left me a year ago. I was alone with my kids. No job, no skills. I thought about giving up. But then I saw the ad for the school, and now I have hope. Thank you. I hugged her tightly. Don't thank me, honey. Thank yourself for being brave, for not giving up. That night, alone at home, I sat in the garden. I looked at the stars. I talked to Arthur. We did it, old man. Not how we expected, not with who we expected, but we did it. The wind blew gently, and I swear I heard his voice in that wind. I always had faith in you, Ellie. Always. I smiled. A real smile. Of peace, of closure, of a new beginning. 3 years later, the Arthur Hayes School of Textiles had already graduated 120 students. Many had their own businesses. Others worked at renowned fashion houses. Some stayed with us, now as teachers for the new generations. The family business had tripled in size. Mason got out of prison 2 years ago. He kept his word. He started in the warehouse, loading boxes, cleaning, organizing inventory, without complaining, without asking for privileges. Working 12-hour days. He paid back every dollar of his debt. It took him 18 months, but he did it. Chloe did not get back with him. They divorced while they were in prison. She moved to Chicago with her family. We never heard from her again. Mason now lives in a small apartment in Alston. He comes to work every day. He has dinner with me on Sundays. We don't talk about the past, but we are building a present, slowly, carefully, like someone reassembling a broken vase, knowing the cracks will always be there, but choosing, anyway, to give beauty a second chance. Do I trust him completely? No. Do I love him? Yes. Because despite everything, he is still my son. But I am a different woman now. A woman who learned to set boundaries, to defend herself, to not confuse love with submission. One afternoon, while teaching embroidery to a new group, a student asked me, "Mrs. Hayes, How did you manage to get back up after losing everything? I set the needle down on the fabric. I looked at those 15 young women looking at me with hope. I didn't lose everything, honey. I lost my illusions. I lost my naivety. I lost the version of myself that needed to be liked at any cost. But I gained something much more valuable. I gained myself. Reflective silence. And that, I continued, no one can take from me. Not betrayal, not time, not loneliness. Because true wealth isn't in what you own. It's in what you don't allow to be taken from you. Your dignity, your voice, your right to defend yourself. Tears on several faces. Never, ever let fear make you small. Never let love make you blind. And never, ever allow anyone to steal your peace. Spontaneous applause. And in that moment, looking at those faces full of hope, those eyes shining with dreams, I knew Arthur would be proud. Not of the son who couldn't be, but of the woman I became. The woman who fell, who cried, who broke, but who got back up. Stronger, wiser, freer. And that woman, that 69-year-old Eleanor Hayes, with gray in her hair and wrinkles on her face, but with fire in her heart, that woman was no longer afraid of anything, because she had faced the worst. And she had survived. Not just survived, she had flourished. Final reflection. There are moments in life where you have to choose between being loved and being respected, between staying silent or raising your voice, between protecting the one who hurts you or protecting yourself, and I chose. I chose my peace over their comfort. I chose my dignity over their convenience. I chose my future over their past. It wasn't easy. It hurt like nothing else has ever hurt. But it was worth every tear, because at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who can meet her own gaze. A woman who didn't sell out, who didn't let herself be broken, who chose to live with her head held high, even if it meant walking alone for a while. And if my story can inspire just one person to defend themselves, to not allow abuse disguised as love, to set boundaries even when it hurts, then every second of pain will have been worth it. Because the true inheritance we leave isn't the buildings or the bank accounts or the properties. It's the lesson that we deserve respect, that we deserve peace, that we deserve true love, not crumbs wrapped in guilt, and that no one can take from you, ever. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you know, or if you yourself have lived through something similar, leave me your comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it. Give it a like, subscribe, and let's keep sharing life stories that remind us that it is never, ever too late to defend ourselves. Because dignity has no age, and respect is not begged for, it is demanded. Thank you for joining me until the end. With affection, Eleanor Hayes, Finn.